All right, it is late. So let's do a shave, get to bed. Timeless. It's got my Nacet in it. I had 210 yesterday, so today is 211 uses on this little Nacet. And I've got 10 dots across the top, so I'm going to have to find another place to put 10, to start my next set of 10. The brush I'm going to be using is a Maseto shaving brush. I got it off eBay. This is the Silvertip. This is the 3-band Silvertip. I expect to have a nice soft feel, kind of low backbone, and that's what I want. That's what I like. This is that barber pole style handle. Maseto calls it the Memphis. I like it a lot so far. Declaration Grooming. This is the Puzzle soap, and it's the Milksteak base. This is the new base. I'm going to be using a poofy Silvertip, like I just showed you. Previously, yesterday, I used a Finest Badger. It was very dense, though, lots of hairs, so it may have a similar load time to this Silvertip. We'll just have to see. After the shave, I'm going to use this Tiki Bar Landlocked aftershave. I decided on the nights when I shave, I'm probably not going to use the Puzzle aftershave, because I'll probably use the Puzzle aftershave because I'm in this game, you know, to try to guess the notes. I am going to use it during the daytime so that I have a longer time to experience. There are stages to some post-shave products. You get an initial burst of scent, give that a little bit of time, it wears off kind of quickly, then you get the middle and the heart notes, okay, and then after that wears off after a little bit longer, then you get, that's called the dry down, I believe. Maybe the dry down is when the alcohol kind of subsides. I'm not real sure about that. I'm not an expert at aftershaves. Any kind of authority on those at all. But then you've got a third, the base notes, that come out after the first two layers die away due to the nature of the scent being more volatile. And so if I always go to sleep right after I try it, I'm not going to experience some of those levels. The razor blade is in the razor. Let me show it to you. There's the Nacet. Here's the little delineator. Those two marks are from the X that I put on it last year. And then we will put it in the razor. And I'm always having the X toward the bottom so I can show you, which means that I'm always having the blade shaving on a certain side. I have no way of knowing if that is one of the main reasons why this blade is lasting. What if maybe the micro bevel of the blade is always wearing at a certain manner, and that's keeping it shavable. If under normal circumstances, I might flip the blade at random intervals because I just take it out and put it back in, and who knows how it ends up. Maybe that wears the blade differently. I have no idea. Maybe someday I'll figure it out. All right, get my face wet. Now, I debated on not shaving with the Nacet today. I had some stuff going on yesterday, and so I skipped a day. This is 2 days of growth, and it's going to tug. But let's just do it. It's just the first pass, really. As usual, I'm going to shake most of the water out of this brush. Milksteak seems to do just fine with a damp load like this. And 30 seconds seems to be doing well. So why don't we go ahead and just do that. 3 seconds now, I'll be able to start. Make it easy to count if I match what's going on my camera there. Maseto represents a nice budget 3-band Silvertip. There are definitely more expensive ones out there. But this one, you know, $44, I think, something like that. And it feels great. I've used it 4 times now. I'm really happy with it, with the way it's going. Roger Quintero lather bowl, 3D design, 3D printed. You can print your own with the files that are linked on the video description. If you have a 3D printer yourself, or you want to use some kind of online service. It's going to have less backbone than most of the brushes I've tried recently. 3 teaspoons is what I used yesterday. 30 seconds of loading with 3 teaspoons. Let's just see how Milksteak does by putting 2 teaspoons in all at once. I think it'll be fine. I think it doesn't matter. In case you don't know, Milksteak is a tongue-in-cheek, kind of a joke. The name, at least. Scott, the owner of Declaration Grooming, has got a pretty good sense of humor. There's a show called Always Sunny in Philadelphia or something like that, I think is where it comes from. And one of the characters, I believe, he likes something called Milksteak. And this mixture has, of course, various kinds of milks, but also tallow from cows, beef tallow. So Milksteak, you know. Yep. Looks pretty good. Looks like it's working with a large amount of water pretty well. I did stir slowly at first because I don't want to dump that water out. Why don't we just go ahead and put the rest of the 3 teaspoons in there. If you use a different size brush, if you use a brush that has a different firmness, different backbone to the bristles. Now, pretty much all the brushes I use have soft tips. There's some guys out there who like scratchy tips that grind on the skin, you know, and give them a certain feel. So I'm going to guess those really pick up lather a little more than the soft tips. So a person like that might really have different load times that they have to accommodate for based on the different brushes. Not looking forward to the tugging this open comb is gonna, that the Nacet's gonna give me if I skip a day. It's quite tuggy. Let's take a look at the lather. Not tons of it, but it's probably enough to do the job. Sure looks nice. Notice how, for the most part, it's just a big blob. There is a gradual valley that you can see in the shadows right there, but there are just not very many sharp peaks and things like that. Now look at that ridge right there in the bowl. He is definitely holding his weight up pretty easily. And so that may mean that he needs more water, but as you can see, he's not dripping off the brush either. He's not stretching a lot. When I pull him up, not a lot. Medium stretch, medium peaks, I might say. So I'll bet I could maybe add half a teaspoon here. Let's just mix that up and maybe try this out that way. Yesterday's lather was 30-second load with my Declaration B5, a dense badger brush. and then 3 teaspoons of water. And the lather was right in a perfect zone for me. I could go a little wetter, but really happy with that lather. All right, water on my face. Cool water right now. Cold temperatures lately here. Hard water is what I have to deal with. Yep, nice soft tips. I've recommended this as a 3-band brush several times, and I do want to put some more uses on it to make sure that that's still a warranted recommendation. Pretty happy with the backbone here. It's not so weak that it's just flopping around. I do get the feel of the tips on my face. All right, let's do that. With the grain now. What I'm going to do is something I thought about last time. Not doing the buffing thing, just do single strokes. Even if I don't get a lot of hairs because of the tugging. It would be a lot more comfortable if I would just shave every day, but you know how schedules are. Sometimes they're weird. So I'm just going to focus on one kind of pass per area, not buffing over the same area multiple times, and just hit it again. All right, let's lather up again. Don't need to do quite as much scrubbing after that first pass, because that kind of does the cleaning and all that. And since, oh, see, that's much nicer. I did habitually do some more buffing on that side though. See how this side goes? Pretty well the same. Nice. Yeah, okay. So if I know I'm going to get some tugging because of skipping a day, it's definitely better for my face, at least, to just do kind of a single non-buffing pass as the first pass. The second one was comfortable. Just a tiny bit of tugging, no problem there. Because of that, this may end up to be a 4-pass shave. 30 seconds might not be enough load time for a 4-pass. We'll just see how the closeness looks after this pass. Yeah, this is a soft brush. I think this is a great entry, a great, mid-range. It's about as low as a Silvertip is going to cost you and be a competent Silvertip. There are crappy Silvertips that are going to be less. I've used the Yaki Silvertip once, and I have it. I'm going to put more uses on it. I think I'm happy with it. I don't know that I like it better than this one, but it is a little cheaper. AliExpress had a big sale. Of course, on Black Friday they had some sales, but 11/11 is apparently also a sale for them, for that Asian market. And so I bought a 2-band from Yaki, a Silvertip 3-band from Yaki, and then from DS Cosmetics, who have a store on AliExpress, I bought a Super Badger. Wasn't good. I think maybe the just prickly. Maybe the quality control just wasn't there, and there were a lot of hairs that were not lined up properly. A lot of them were maybe sticking out, and so then they had to go back later and clip them. So a lot of clipped hairs where you don't get the nice tips, the nice soft pointy tips. You get the rectangle where it was cut before it really should have been. It looks nice, but you can, a trained eye is going to be able to see the change in color and the clipping, and it's probably gonna. I knew even before I was gonna shave with it that it wasn't gonna be all that soft. I mean, that might change a little bit over time. It certainly is functional, and it definitely is better than some brushes out there. But I'm probably gonna yank that knot and use the handle. So I guess that must have been the second pass. I don't know. So now let's do the third. Running out of lather. You may want to start lathering for 35 or 40. Comfy, smooth shave by now. One of the things I like about night shaving is if I get a goopy lather that gets everywhere, I don't have to worry about my shirt getting messed up. If I shaved in the morning, I might be a little more irked about that. All right, I'm gonna switch directions here because it's my little trouble area. So let's just hit that in the opposite direction as well. Not too bad. Some of that nice lather. So this one was a little bit more on the wet side. And let's rinse. I'm really happy with the result right here. I didn't really focus on technique. Didn't really focus on thinking about it too much. Now, when you're beginning, it's not a good idea because you don't have the muscle memory. You don't have the technique already in place to where you could sometimes have the potential to get in your own way. And so in the beginning, I believe it's best to think about it carefully, go slowly. You might even sit here for a second, work, thinking about the angle and which type of stroke you're going to do before you even do a stroke. And I think that's okay. And eventually you'll figure out and there might be some areas right here, this little area next to my Adam's apple. It took me a year or two to really figure out the best strategy, mainly the angles, to come at that width to address it properly. And it's okay if you go slow. Some of the areas, like most of the time, guys' cheeks will get shaven well pretty quickly. That's just normal, you know, unless it goes in a weird direction. There are some guys whose cheeks go back or go forward, the grain, you know. Mine go from north to south pretty much. And so that makes it pretty easy. But just go slow at first if you're new. And then eventually your muscles will get used to it. Your mind will also just naturally remember, you know, which directions you need to go to. And then a lot of times, I believe, you can get great shaves by relaxing, because now it's part of your nature and your body knows what to do. And then the only problem is sometimes when you get in your own way, think about it too much, you know, that can sometimes happen. Well, I had plenty of lather to do the job, a little bit extra. I could definitely make a pass out of that. This was, I'd say, on the wet side a little bit. Is it in that perfect zone like I had yesterday? Yesterday was on the dry end of the perfect zone. Was this the wet end of the perfect zone? Maybe a little too wet. So maybe adding that half teaspoon. No big deal. Still enjoyable shave. Still really enjoyed the lather. Milksteak does well in hard water. And I'm really happy with the closeness here. Face feels good. Now I haven't even put any splash on. I can't remember what Landlocked was supposed to smell like. Now Tiki Bar has witch hazel, aloe, calendula. It says it does have a little bit of menthol, B5 Pro, and this is made by Groomatorium, same guys who make Chiseled Face as well as Stubble Buster. And their soaps, the Tiki Bar soaps, are pretty good in terms of performance. So this does have the alcohol. So it's going to tell me if I've abused my skin or had some lapses in my technique where I bore down in a certain area a little bit too much, kind of like alum does. But alum can dry your skin just like alcohol can. I don't use alum anymore. It's always seems to be always recommended to new guys, but I don't even think new guys need it. I do keep it around in case I get a bleeder. It can heal up, stop the bleeding of small cuts without too much sting. For larger cuts, you need to get your styptic pencil out, and it'll definitely heal it up, but stop the bleeding, but you'll get some sting with it. And I'm getting some of that alcohol burn, probably because of the menthol. It's more of I think it's more related to a higher menthol amount. I get better feel of this when I actually put it on a couple hours after the shave. I don't get nearly as the burn like I do now. I guess it's just, you know, tenderized skin from the removing layers of the skin's surface there. And so it makes it more tender, susceptible to irritation by the menthol and alcohol and stuff. Sterling aftershaves sometimes do that to me too. And I can feel the menthol a little bit in my eyes. I think that has a little bit of an orange note to this one. I'll have to look it up and see. I meant to beforehand. All right, well, I might use this razor tomorrow, so I'm going to loosen it up, give it some airflow, shoot some jet of hot water down in there, shake it out. That'll help it to not dry with stains and stuff like that. Put it up out of the way, safe from kids, and time to keep cleaning up. So this one's just a 24 millimeter knot, but it has nice big splay. It handles my face pretty well. I'm glad it's not too much bigger. I've got a goatee, so I have a U-shaped area that I have to work. I still have room to work, even though it's kind of large, relatively speaking. Just really soft. Some might consider it floppy, but I don't. So I'm a big fan of this guy. Nice knots. And if you want a little bit more backbone and stay within the family, just go to the Finest Badger from Memphis, the 2-band. I like that one as well. Man, just lots of... I don't have another one with me. It's not as dense, of course, as a Declaration Knot, but it doesn't cost nearly as much. Not nearly as much. Now, I've got the scent of the aftershave around me right now. Let's jump back into the world of the soap. Sometimes you'll get nuances of a different scent because the aftershave will change the way your nose perceives things. Sometimes you smell different notes out of it after the fact. It's a nice soap. I like this aftershave too. It's almost maybe got some woodiness with the orange maybe. Don't know for sure. All right. So I did add that ½ teaspoon to make it 3½ teaspoons of water. And it was on the wet side. Still enjoyable. Only had a couple of instances of lather flopping off. That's one of my indicators. My personal preference is I don't want lather flying everywhere. Some people don't mind it at all. That's all right. Just quickly decided to start the next dot series on the inside flap here of the Nacet. Here, if I open up the whole thing, you'll be able to see all the dots at once in case you want to freeze frame it and count them. There we go. How about that? I almost feel like the paper's going to fall apart. It's been open and closed so many times. Ah, there's a little green note in this as well. Almost like a Sterling Sharp Dressed Man, or maybe Baker Street, something like that. Maybe Sharp Dressed Man is a little more accurate, but they're both kind of similar in some respects. I might read up on this, what this is supposed to smell like, and see how accurate I got. All right, well, there we go. Good shave. Happy with that. Face feels very good. I don't feel any irritation. Even earlier at the end of the shave, I didn't. Very happy with the closeness. You know, a few of these hairs right here have some length on them, and that is very good for this age of a blade. It's still razor sharp. I attribute that partially, and this is just me guessing here, wet lathers help to lubricate the skin, lubricate the blades, soften up the hairs so they're easier to cut. That's my guess. Good technique, proper pressure, angle, that sort of thing. All right. Also a tolerance toward just a little bit of tugging. I started getting that about maybe 120 or something. Nah, probably before that. I kept switching razors, getting more aggressive. Also there are certain curvatures that do better. So you really have to try out as many razors as you have to find the ones that'll help you go farther. If you only use mild razors, if I only had some of my mild razors, I might only be able to go to 40 or something like that before I quit, would be my guess. But I bumped it up with the adjustables. I'd gradually increase the aggression. Most of these Nacet shaves I've got on video, so you could go back and look at those if you just were super bored. All right. But right now, this open comb Timeless that I can't use for daily shaving because it's too aggressive, even though it's the 68, it's the mild gap that Timeless has. I've got the 95 in the solid bar. Well, technically it's the scalloped, and I can shave with it every day, but not this open comb 68. It's quite a significant jump, at least for my skin, to that open comb 68. And I almost sold it, but then it turned out to be a good razor to keep around for taking old blades even farther. All right, well, I'm a happy camper. Face feels good. Hope there was something here for you. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Take care. Good night.